Every place forgotten by time holds a secret, but sometimes those secrets wait for years, silently, on rusty tracks. This time, an abandoned train car wasn't just a heap of rust, it was the final resting place of a disappearance waiting to be solved. My name is Kenda, and I'm chasing that silent whisper. This story began 20 years ago on a disused old railway line in the forested area outside of town. Known as the Iron Serpent, this line once vitalized the region, but now lay forgotten, succumbed to nature's embrace. A few adventurous teenagers walking along this line discovered an old passenger car hidden among the trees, its doors locked. But this was no ordinary discovery. With the discovery of the car, an unsolved disappearance case from 20 years prior was reopened. James Donovan, a millionaire businessman and one of the era's biggest railway magnates, had vanished without a trace during a business trip. Police, family, detectives, no one had found him until that car was discovered. This situation raised a huge question mark in my mind. James Donovan was a powerful, influential man. His disappearance was not merely a missing persons case. It was as if he had been erased. The initial theories of a simple accident or runaway seemed too convenient. But what awaited us inside that forgotten car, that's where the true unsettling nature of his vanishing began to emerge. The car was inspected by the forensic team. There were no signs of forced entry on the exterior. The doors were locked from the inside. It was as if its occupants had been locked in, and the car itself had been derailed and hidden here. This was the first serious indication that the disappearance was no accident. The interior of the car was like a dusty time capsule. The air was heavy, smelling of mold. Everything looked as if it had been abandoned abruptly 20 years ago. On the table, there were personal effects clearly belonging to James Donovan, a half-finished cup of coffee, a newspaper he was reading, and a letter. The scene was frozen in time, unsettlingly quiet, almost as if the last moments of its occupant were still lingering in the stagnant air. We found his travel itinerary, neatly laid out, suggesting no deviation from his planned journey. It amplified the mystery of how he could have just vanished. The letter was written by James Donovan's wife. In it, she expressed her concerns about one of his business partners, Victor Sterling. She wrote that Sterling had recently become aggressive, pressuring Donovan to take over his businesses and making strange offers. The letter clearly indicated that Donovan hadn't simply left the car, he'd encountered a problem. The tone of the letter was urgent, almost pleading, describing Sterling's escalating demands and threatening gestures. It hinted at a growing conflict, a power struggle far more sinister than a mere business disagreement. James Donovan and Victor Sterling had been business partners for years, but the letter showed their relationship had soured. Sterling was Donovan's closest friend, his loyal right-hand man, but sometimes the closest one is the greatest threat. I knew Sterling was set to inherit Donovan's empire, which immediately placed him at the top of my suspect list. His ambition was clearly documented in business reports from the time, showcasing a relentless drive that bordered on obsession when it came to Donovan's ventures. It took me days to meticulously comb through the railway records from that period. In dusty archive rooms, I examined forgotten manifests, handwritten ticket ledgers, and conductors' shift schedules. My goal was to capture every detail of the Iron Serpent's last journey. The car was listed as James Donovan's private carriage for its last journey. However, there was a gap in the record for the conductor assigned to that particular car. A conductor named William Clark had disappeared on the very same day Donovan vanished. Was this just a coincidence? His shift records abruptly ended with no explanation or follow-up from the railway company. This, while seemingly a major oversight at the time, now appeared incredibly suspicious. William Clark was known as a quiet, honest, and dedicated man. He had no known enemies, and his sudden disappearance was never understood. Police had concluded he was either kidnapped or killed alongside Donovan. But I had a suspicion. Why had this disappearance remained so profoundly silent for so long? I meticulously searched local archives and public records to find any trace of Clark's family. There were no missing person reports filed in his name, no public appeals, no official inquiries. It was as if his very existence had been carefully erased after that fateful day. This chilling silence whispered to me that William Clark was not just a victim, but a key silenced piece of this elaborate puzzle. I returned to the train car. I re-examined every corner, every crevice. The notes and letters I found among Donovan's belongings made me suspect something was hidden inside the car itself. I tapped along every wooden panel, scrutinized every screw hole, and finally, beneath the windowsill, almost invisible unless you knew where to look, I discovered a small, cleverly disguised compartment. It was seamlessly integrated into the woodwork, a testament to someone's careful planning, designed to keep its contents hidden from even the most prying eyes. From inside the compartment, a small, old, rusty key emerged. It was wrapped in weathered leather, preserving it from time. A distinct symbol was etched on its surface. This was the key to a safe. But which safe? The symbol was unique, not a common mark. It clearly indicated a specific personal connection. It was a lock designed to guard something of immense importance, known only to a select few. While reviewing old records in James Donovan's office, I stumbled upon a very old, custom-built safe mounted on the wall. Its design was unique for its time, built to withstand any attempt. On its surface, there was an identical mark to the symbol on the key I had found. This safe was one of the most secure of its era, and it could only be opened with the correct key. I examined the safe in detail, its rusted metal surface, its complex locking mechanism. Every aspect suggested this was no ordinary storage unit, but a guardian of a significant secret. And now, the key to that secret was in my hand. I inserted the key into the safe. With the rusty click of the lock, the heavy door slowly opened. Inside, untouched by time, lay James Donovan's personal, leather-bound ledger. The ledger contained not only business dealings, but also his growing anxieties and the threats he had recently faced. And on the final page, everything was laid bare. On the final page of the ledger was a shocking confession written in James Donovan's own hand. Victor Sterling had used William Clark to murder Donovan and take over his businesses. Clark had poisoned Donovan and then hidden his body, derailing the car onto this isolated line. Clark's disappearance? That was Sterling silencing him. Clark's body was found beneath the car, in a hidden compartment that had been expertly concealed beneath the chassis. It was a gruesome discovery, confirming the depths of Sterling's depravity. James Donovan's disappearance was no accident. It was a ruthless murder. The abandoned train car was a tomb on rusty tracks, silently waiting for decades. This story proved that even the deepest secrets of time can be brought to light. Until the next mystery, stay curious and always look beyond the obvious.